like knockouts and you like finishes, then UFC Vegas 42 was absolutely the card for you because it's one fight away, one finish away from setting an all-time record for most finishes on the card. So this thing was off the hook. Another one of these UFC cards where we had it in the afternoon. And then we had, it really threw me off because we have, normally UFC takes up my nights, man. And that's just the evening. But this is in the afternoon, and I had to figure out what the hell to do with my life that night. I didn't like it. I like the early stuff in the afternoon. I don't like having to figure out what the hell to do the rest of the day. How are we feeling about that one, Blake?
Sounds like you need to just get some hobbies or something, bro.
No, because you want to know what I do? I just go work on this because this is all I need, and I swear I'm not lonely. I'm just boring. Or I'm just on that grind. It's up to you guys. I'm the one trying to make fantastic content for you 24/7. It's for the fans, Blake.
Yeah, I'll be nice.
Yeah. Hey, be nice to the fans. But, oh boy, UFC Vegas 42 hit. There's a lot to talk about there. And there's also a little bit going on in terms of maybe people that aren't going to be doing their jobs or having their jobs very longer, including the names of Herb Dean and Paulo Costa. Now, also, another edition of What the Blank with Blake as he fills in the Blakes because he is Blake. And I will never get tired of saying that mess of words because it's always fun. And also, of course, we're going to take a look at UFC Vegas 43. A fairly underrated card in this one. A lot of good stuff on the undercard. Blake's bangers for that one. And I got to say, I found one of the most weirdest, best, possibly funniest nays of the week, and so that's definitely something we're going to have to get into, and you're going to have to stick around till the end for that one. But of course, ladies and gentlemen, this is UFC Talk 65 with Fourth and Long. Of course, I'm your host Ross Allen, joined alongside by MMA correspondent Blake Campbell. And Blake, so real quick before we get into things, how are you feeling about this weekend, and how are you feeling about UFC Vegas 43?
Yeah, I mean, I was very, very entertained.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't have high expectations. One of those cards, that we've talked about where not a ton of huge names, but it's still, delivered. And coming up this weekend, I think it could be very much the same. Not a ton of huge names, but there is a few big name guys on there. So, I mean, I'm pretty excited for this card as well this weekend. I think it could kind of have similar results to last weekend as well, if we're lucky.
Absolutely. And one of the beautiful things about cards like this is that it gives these kind of entry-level guys and these beginning guys guys and gals a chance to make a name for themselves so they can be that recognizable one on the card in the future. So I love these kind of cards. You could really see stars made, and we got to start to talk about UFC Vegas 43. But before we hop into UFC Vegas 42, just a couple things I want to shout out. Of course, we got a bunch of stuff in the works. In terms of merchandise, in terms of new content, in terms of trying to increase some of the quality of some of the stuff coming along. So, of course, make sure to stay tuned and stay looking at that. And just recently, I know YouTube has been a pain in the ass. I mean, that whole taking away the dislike counter thing, I mean, this is another step in the wrong direction for this god-awful platform. But unfortunately, it's one of the few ones that we're on, especially when it comes to video. But we have some new alternatives, Blake. And for everyone out there, we are now able to upload videos on Spotify. So go on and check out our video shows if you want to do that. Of course, just audio as well. Then we're also going to be on a different, we're just adding, we're not leaving anywhere because I want us to be as in many places possible, but an alternative to YouTube. If you don't like that, go check us out on Rumble Video. Of course, that's another platform that we're now on. And I'll do my best to link everything. Best way to find everything is through our website, thefourthlong.com, or our socials, which is Twitter at Fourth Long Radio and Instagram at Fourth and Long Radio. But with out of the way, Blake, let's get into UFC Vegas 42. And of course, the question we always have to ask after a week of fights is, did the bangers hit?
Yeah, I think so. We had Jung Da-un versus Kennedy, God bless your last name.
That was a violent fight.
Yeah, and actually the guy that I was expecting to win got knocked out. So I mean, props to Jung Da-un. That was a spectacular performance.
I mean, talk about being able to knock someone out with their guard up.
Yeah, I
That's
mean,
ridiculous.
yeah, that it was fun to watch. And I mean, another player in the light heavyweights possibly. We'll see where he goes after that.
Not complaining.
I believe the next banger. Oh yeah, it was both in a row, right? Song Yadong, Julio
Absolutely.
Arce.
Dude, that Song
Yeah,
Yadong in Team
Song
Alpha Male
Yadong,
is
dude.
legit. Team Alpha Male, man.
Song Yadong has some freaking power, man. That was awesome. I think he got moved up to number 14 in the rankings today, Tuesday? I think today. Yeah, I believe today. So, yeah, good for him. And then we also have Miguel Baeza versus Kalen Chaos Williams, and another just phenomenal fight.
It's actually chaos, apparently. At least that's what Brandon Fitzgerald was able to tell us, that he has named. That's a bad man.
Yeah, I mean, I was surprised the fight lasted that long. I mean, these guys hit so freaking hard, and I mean, Baeza even had some really good hits in there too. But yeah, Chaos Williams with the nasty, gnarly knockout.
And another one on the long list of these just huge knockouts, man. This guy is one of the strongest hitters in the division. That's just going to carry us on into my winners from the card. Chaos Williams is one of the biggest ones here, because just adding to his list of highlight reel knockouts, where I mean, one of the rawest lines is, some people are sleeping on me, but they wake up to the doctors.
Yeah, we'll let the doctors wake him up.
Right, that's one. Thank you. That's a cold line, and that's just another one. He just keeps on proving he's one of the hardest hitters in the division at the moment, and man, he's looking real good, and it's looking like, man, we might have to start putting him possibly against ranked opponents, or at least getting into like the guys right before those top 15. And so what do you think about some possible things here, Blake? Kind of give him another step up of competition, maybe just barely unranked in Nico Price, or a ranked guy number 15 with Daniel Rodriguez. Two pretty interesting matchups that could happen here.
Yeah, I really like that Nico Price option.
Isn't that a banger?
I'd be surprised if he doesn't already have a fight in the works. But yeah,
at least nothing official. Neither guy has an official book fight.
Then that would be an amazing fight. Even Daniel Rodriguez, that would be a sweet fight. But I mean, I think either or there would be fantastic.
I think it'd be best to keep pushing D-Rod up the rankings, because he looks like a hot prospect.
Because you want some new blood in that division, how, since the top has already been cleaned out. So you want to get some of these guys that are, making themselves into contenders to hopefully take over one of the guys that are already contenders, rather than fighting another guy that's trying to become a contender.
And why not put a guy that has maybe the hardest hitting, the highest level of knockout power in that division? Quite possibly. I mean, maybe besides a Gilbert Burns overhand right, Williams is right up there, man. Or even Kamaru Usman at this point, huh? Because that guy's throwing bombs now. This is just a good division. I think that's pretty much safe to say. Nico Price, a couple losses in his most recent fight, was able to bounce back with the win. I think that's a firework performance in the making there, and I would be a huge fan of that. My another winner here is a guy that made short work of the fighter that Islam Makhachev took 5 rounds to beat. Joel Alvarez looks like, as long as he can get rid of the weight problems and consistently make weight there at lightweight, man, he's a big guy, he's a lanky guy, and this guy hits like a truck in that division, I guess, because he pieced up Thiago Moises pretty bad, and he could be the next guy, but he's a winner here. He's a winner because he's going to be ranked. He's going to have he's now on this hard upward trajectory. But a guy that lost from this is going to be Islam Makhachev, because how does his claim at a title shot look after a already somewhat weak resume getting even weaker now, because arguably one of his best fights was a win over Thiago Moises. And then he had his win over Dan Hooker on short notice. But that's really about it.
Yeah, I mean, it is a little suspect, but for Joel Alvarez, I mean, guy's 28 years old, really impressive record to look at. I believe it's 19-2, 18-2. I think 19-2. So yeah, I mean, another guy that's going to kind of burst the doors open in the rankings list for the lightweight division, and another problem for them to try and figure out, how to take care of that. So I love it. Definitely, I think hurt Islam's stock a little bit, and I think that pretty much solidified the what most people think is going to happen. Beneil Dariush and Islam probably fighting for that next title shot after
such
Gaethje.
an easy fight to make. Such an easy fight.
Because I mean, he has to fight one more legitimate guy. Like, let's put him in there against a guy that is completely well-rounded, isn't going to look for a way out, and see what he's made of. And
Beneil kind of has to do that as well. He still has a little bit to prove too.
Yeah, because I mean, the guys that he took out were a little bit towards the, like Tony Ferguson, But yeah, I'd love to see those guys throw down. Joel Alvarez, on the other hand, it's another, like I said, it's another problem in that division. Like that guy looks pretty scary.
Mm-hmm. Another guy that's going to take some time and effort to figure out as well on how to beat him, because he has a lot of the like the physical attributes that you look for in a champ. He's just a big guy, man.
Well, I mean, do you remember what I was saying last week to you, dude? I was like, this guy's a lightweight. He's 6'3", dude. This guy's
what kind of lightweight? 6'3"?
Guy's humongous.
That's a light heavyweight.
Yeah. So he is going to be a freaking issue.
That's a problem right there. As long as we don't get no Paulo Costas, which kind of alluded to another point we're going to be talking about here a little later when we get to the headlines. Oh boy, this guy could be damn good. And my third winner of the night is going to be someone that puts herself right back into title contention, and that's Felicia Spencer. After dominating Leah Ledson for 3 rounds, got the TKO a little later in the third, and had a good bounce back win here after a couple losses to Amanda Nunes last year, and then Dumont, who is probably going to be the next title challenger. I mean, who else is really there in the featherweight division? She is now proving that she's still one of the best featherweight fighters in the world. But the only problem she's running into now is, where the hell do we go from here? Because UFC, I mean, if you look at like the best featherweight fighters and women's featherweight fighters in the world, 90% of them are signed to Bellator. Okay? Bellator is really the one with that division. Dana White's out here saying that he might scrap the featherweight division after Amanda Nunes' next title defense. Really, Felicia Spencer might just wait for a title shot after Dumont takes on Nunes, but who knows? That could be a year from now. The only other contender in that division is Aspen Ladd, who just lost to Dumont, so that's not really going to do a whole lot to raise her stock. That's more just like a placeholder. I'm not sure where you go from here for Felicia Spencer.
Yeah, and she couldn't go back to 135, you don't think?
She can, but that's probably the only option at this point, huh?
Yeah, because, I mean, there's only like, 3-4 featherweights on the UFC roster, I think.
Yeah.
For women.
Well, like legit featherweights, there isn't any.
Fighting up.
No, they're all just bantamweights. I mean, I guess with the weight
even
cuts,
the ones that they have right now. I mean, I'm pretty sure Felicia came from bantamweight.
Yeah.
So did Aspen.
Yeah.
Not completely sure about Dumont.
I guess
Obviously Nunes.
I mean, really the only legit featherweight might be Aspen Ladd, just because she struggles to make 135. The other fighters normally don't have as hard of a time making 135, especially not Amanda Nunes. She does it on like a yearly to buy, like once or twice a year she does it. Right. So you have one legitimate featherweight, and that's questionable. It's hard because especially with Dana's thoughts about cutting this division, I'm not sure obviously that's one of the only options here. If he wants to do something, he'll actually try to bolster up the division, i.e. Kayla Harrison. But
she's a lightweight. She's not even able to get to 45, I don't think. I
think they were talking about that she would just be a featherweight with the UFC.
Yeah,
if they
I
were
don't
to
see that
sign her.
happening. There's no way.
Wait,
There's no way.
hey, watch this. The UFC is going. They're not going cut featherweight. They're instead just going to make a lightweight and have one fighter.
Triple champ.
Dude,
Amanda Nunes.
I guess, man. I guess that's what you do. Amanda Nunes, if anyone's going to do it, it's not going to be Triple C. It's going to be Triple A in Amanda Nunes. Dude, this division is it's a problem. It's so bad.
Well, and another thing too is like, you got to think of the product that they're putting out in terms of like the experience that the fans are getting when they're watching the fights. And like, let's be honest, I'm not trying to just crap on women fighting, because you know me, bro. It doesn't matter what gender you are. If you are a banger, you're going to be a banger.
Yeah, some of these females can scrap, man. Some of them are really good fights.
None of the ones I've seen at 45 really been throwing down that hard. Besides, obviously, Cyborg and
Nunes.
And Nunes.
And besides, the only entertainment we get to see at 145 is Nunes murdering cans.
Like, name one memorable fight that does not have Nunes in it. Rousey. If Nunes or Rousey isn't in the fight, probably wasn't spectacular. There's
nothing historical, at least not off the top of my head. If we're missing something here, please let us know, because I would love to know if there's one. But I can't think of one.
Like, not off the top, and I'm sure like if we sat down and thought about it, we definitely probably could think of a couple of good fights.
But especially to the casual audience too.
You just can't.
It's not.
So, like, where are you going to put your time and resources into a division that, like, routinely disappoints unless it's a Nunes or another star? Or are you going to put it into the other divisions where it's like, they're cycling through prospects every single freaking month, it seems like. Like, it's crazy the amount of talent they have in the other divisions,
The bantamweight division is a full division. It's a good division.
Well, there's a few full divisions in I mean, bantamweight, featherweight, lightweight, welterweight.
The actual women's divisions are filled besides featherweight.
Strawweight's pretty good. Flyweight's getting there, but it still has some work to do.
Well, take Valentin Shevchenko out of the picture of 125, then it's a very balanced division.
Yeah, then that would be, interesting to see which cream would rise to the top.
Right. Bantamweight has legitimate fighters. Well, I mean, if you take out Amanda Nunes and Valentin Shevchenko,
there's some good fighters in bantamweight.
Yeah,
there's some really good ones.
But I mean, I'm talking about that could actually contend with Amanda Nunes. Not sure about that. I mean, of course, she is the GOAT.
Maybe a couple.
Maybe. But if you take out those fighters, those are all full divisions where everyone has a shot at the title. But
is she defending her featherweight title against Pena?
It's a bantamweight.
Oh, it is bantamweight. Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway, go on.
Shoot, might as well just defend both, right? Can we do that? Can she just collect dual rubies?
That'd be cool, but I don't know how you can make two different weights at the same time.
That sounds like some pro wrestling kind of stuff right there. Hey, dude, put both belts on the line. Put that in the contract. Like, I don't know, man. I really don't. All I know is that division is a shit show. But the division that is the farthest thing from a shit show is the men's featherweight division, because, oh boy, these 145ers are full. It's loaded with talent, and we just saw one of the best fights of the year with Max Holloway and Yair Rodriguez. And who cares? What's ring rust, okay? Because he was gone for 2 years. He comes back and looks. He beat Max Holloway in 2 of the 5 rounds. He looked fantastic. Rodriguez did. He looked like he's a title contender after not even fighting for 2 years. And if you forgot about how good he is, you remembered within the first minute of that fight. Sweet damn, this whole thing was good from the first minute to the 25th one. And this was just such a damn good fight. It proved that Yair Rodriguez is still one of the better fighters in that division. Proved that Max is still one of the best strikers the UFC's ever seen. Arguably the best fighter this weight class has ever seen. And there is just some fantastic fights you can make from this. And just a phenomenal display of mixed martial arts is exactly what this was.
Yeah, no complaints from my end. I mean, my goodness. Yair Rodriguez looked like he had Max in a little bit of trouble a few times,
Clipped him good.
Yeah, that fight. It was another one of those fights where you hate to see someone lose because both guys are just so freaking cool. Yair is so fun to watch. Max Holloway, I mean, dude throws 1,000 punches in every fight now. It seems like it's
I
unreal
don't
what
think he
that guy's
quite hit
capable
the
of doing.
900 significant strikes thrown like we was telling Rush, but dude, he landed another 300, and
Yeah,
he now has he's the first fighter over 3,000 significant strikes landed. That's
that's
a
insane.
ridiculous number, dude.
That's a
I
lot of times to be punching someone in the face.
I can't put my head around that, man. That's a lot,
Guy's a freaking warrior,
and
dude.
he's never gotten dropped once.
Yeah, that's the craziest stat. I can't believe he's never been knocked down.
Especially Yair was landing shots in this one. I mean,
He's never been knocked down. He's never been finished. So
nope,
he's
undefeated.
he's undefeated.
I love that quote tweet of what Connor said.
Yeah, he just says undefeated.
That was so good.
Yeah.
Oh, I love Max, and there's a couple things that we can do from here. I love the two possible fights that we can see from Yair Rodriguez. Because there's two guys I throw out there. Really, there's one that I would love to see, and one a little more realistic. One, we saw the return of Yair. We could see the return of Zabit, and do Yair versus Zabit.
They were
Or
supposed to do that like what, 2 years ago? Almost?
yeah, when Yair was first kind of started the layoff, right?
Yeah,
And then
because it was like, but they went like back and forth. One
Mhm.
would pull out, then the other would pull out, then you get rescheduled, then the other one would pull out.
and then Yair's
It
back.
was a mess.
If Yair's back, maybe that opens the door for Zabit to actually make his return. Who knows? I think the one that's a little more realistic, though, because we actually know he's an active fighter. I love the thought of Yair Rodriguez versus Brian Ortega.
Yeah, that would be a firefight,
Come on, man.
especially because Brian Ortega, he's not. Well, I guess he never really was a one-trick pony, but you know what I mean. He's
Yeah.
very, very well-rounded now.
Mm-hmm.
And even that fight with Volk, even though I don't want to say he got dominated, but he lost pretty convincingly. I guess we could say.
He almost got lucky a few times, but
Yeah, but really it was just the chokes that were really the only
yeah,
kind of
he kind of rocked
problem.
Volk like once or twice, but no, that fight was a Volk fight.
Nothing like Max had him though.
No,
But
absolutely.
yeah, Rodriguez versus Ortega would be insane. That would be a sweet fight to have like in a Mexico card.
Oh, put
or,
that in Mexico City.
Yeah, or like LA,
Oh.
or maybe even Phoenix or something like that. Somewhere a little closer to the border.
Texas, maybe in Houston.
Yeah, even Texas would be a good one.
Ooh, dude.
New Mexico, who knows?
Ooh, I mean, there's like the Memorial Coliseum in Anaheim. They've had a few cards there. Wasn't that the one they moved because John Jones popped for roids, and so they put them on that in that arena instead in California.
Yeah.
Hey, maybe you can move there for the right reasons now, because that one's pretty close to the border.
Yeah, that would be sweet.
Dude, talk about. I mean, Mexicans are known for their chins. Those two dudes could take a punch, man. That would be. It'd be hard to see someone actually go down that fight. That would be damn good stuff. And then for Max, both them would be rematches for the next ones. Obviously, he called out Conor McGregor. Dana White shot that down, and that would be logistically, that fight is curious, and I think the easiest one, the one Dana looks like he wants to do, is just, I mean, Max is saying he's the best featherweight in the world. The best is blessed, and why not prove that you're best by doing the trilogy against Alexander Volkanovski? The first fight was a clear Volkanovski win. Second fight, a crap ton of controversy with that one. So this third one, it feels, even though Volk is up 2-0, this feels like a legitimate trilogy where each guy's 1-1.
Yeah, I think that's the fight that probably makes the most sense. But yeah, I think the only way that they could make that Conor fight happen is if Holloway was like legitimately ready to go permanently up to lightweight. Because then it's like, okay, new player is entered, and put him against Conor. That's a decent comeback fight for Conor. It's still a ridiculously tough fight for him to come back to, but yeah, I don't know. I think with Conor still being in the rehabilitation stage,
I don't know, man. His pacing looked good.
it's just, yeah, he's He's got a good stride going right
What
now.
was that video, man? That was
hilarious. I love it. I don't
it
know
was
why people are
weird.
giving him so much shit.
It
It's
was
hilarious, bro.
Is it
Like,
really?
dude, that is top-notch troll work, I would say. Like, he is doing the most craziest.
Is he trolling or was
I
he being
guess,
serious with that video too? I guess.
I definitely think he was trolling. Like,
Was it a joke or was he?
I don't think he genuinely was like doing that. You know, I think he was like, "Oh, this shit would be fucking fire if I posted it," and then he did it. And now look at the reaction it's garnered against, you know, with everyone on the Twitter sphere. Everyone's been talking about that crap. Even Chael had to tweet
And
about it.
then he deleted it, like typical Connor tweets.
Yeah, that's just what Connor does. The internet's forever, though, bro. As soon as he posts that, like, there's like 20,000 people with his notifications on.
More than that.
You know?
Right. No, it gets
definitely
up there.
Way more.
I think the biggest sin in that video was for how fancy his house is, man. He needs a bigger TV. I have a bigger TV than Connor does, at least in that room.
Yeah, I'm sure that was just a hallway he was in, bro.
I would like maybe that's like one of his 3 rooms, or maybe he just brought that TV off his yacht. Who knows? But you think? All I'm saying is, if I had Conor McGregor money, I'd probably have a home theater because that's cool.
You don't think Conor McGregor has a home theater?
He has to, right?
Yes, bro. I'm telling you, that's not his only TV.
I'm just wondering why he was at that. It's a stupid thing to nitpick. I did think that was funny when people pointed that out. Come on, you got like what, gold little engravings on the ceiling, but tiny ass TV.
Well, men like him probably don't watch very much TV, you know.
Yeah. I mean, unless he wants to pace in front of a fighter, he's never going to fight.
Well, a fighter he's already beat.
Yeah, but also that is a different fighter. So I would like to see the rematch. 155 Holloway just kind of, I don't know how I feel about that. And there's no way Conor ever makes it back down to 145.
Yeah, I don't think so.
No. If they book that fight, would I say no? Absolutely not. I'd be fully on board with that. I just much rather this trilogy, though. I think the trilogy is more important to the sport and more important to that division. And honestly, it's going to be a better fight. You know, it's easy. And then you can do Conor, have his damn return fight against, like, I don't know, Tony Ferguson and Nate Diaz or something like that. UFC probably wants him to win his next fight. I don't think he beat Max, at least, especially not in the comeback fight like that.
Be tough. He'd have to knock him out.
Yeah.
Which he didn't do in the first time, so I don't see him outclassing Max in the striking department this time.
He's not outpointing him. Dustin Poirier, his boxing is not as good as Max's, and Dustin Poirier was outstriking him in the last 2 fights. You know? So, I think, like, you and I agree.
Dustin Poirier pieced up Max Holloway too, bro.
Yeah. Oh, man, that interim title fight was, like, looking back, it just seems like such a weird thing to book. I don't know why. It just feels weird that fight actually happened for the lightweight interim title. And we almost saw Max Holloway versus Khabib.
I don't think it was that weird.
I don't know. It isn't, but for whatever reason, just looking back on it, like, it just doesn't feel right for me. I just have a weird feeling. I think
they gave Max the chance to be a double champ, and he couldn't capitalize.
Yeah, it was a good fight though. But man, hey, who knows? Who knows what the hell the UFC is going to do? Because Dana White just pulls stuff out of his butt a lot of the time, and we're kind of in for a little bit of a mess, possibly, when it comes to this. But that's going to do it for UFC Vegas 42. Let us know who you guys, who should Yair Rodriguez fight next? Who should Max Holloway fight next? And is the women's 145-pound division in trouble? Let us know your thoughts on that one as well. And we're going to get cracking into a couple stories here. And they both involve guys possibly losing their jobs. And the first one we need to talk about is, especially after what we saw at UFC Vegas 43 in the co-main event with Ben Rothwell in Lima, it feels like it's really kind of started to snowball from maybe the last 12, 16 months. It looks like we've started to see the decline of one of the greatest refs we've ever seen inside the octagon in Herb Dean. This is another stoppage that was controversial, especially, I mean, you look at Twitter, people were lining him up for it, rightfully or not. they were. But it was something where he stepped in. I mean, he steps in. Ben Rothwell's getting beat up pretty bad. Then Herb Dean steps in to try to stop the fight. Rothwell then shoots for a takedown, and then after he kind of gets to a certain point, then Herb Dean steps back in there and stops the fight. So let me know your thoughts on this one, Blake. Was it a good stoppage, and is the game blown out of proportion?
Yeah, I'm in the camp where I think it kind of has been blown out of proportion a little bit. I've watched the whole situation now probably about 10 times, seen different angles, slow motion, all that kind of stuff. And it really just, it doesn't bother me as much as it seemed like it bothered everyone at first glance. And then kind of like all the nitpickers and analysts out there, keyboard warriors on Twitter, saying what they would have done and all that stuff. But if you're looking at it, man, from like an unbiased perspective and like really just watching things, as they happen, when he makes contact with De Lima, no other punches or hits are absorbed by Rothwell. Like from that moment on, no other damage is done by either fighter. Just a takedown is being attempted by Rothwell, and it's kind of because he's really like out on his feet. And at that point, Herb Dean has 200, let's say 250, 260 plus pound men right there, and right there in front of him.
Wait, think Herb Dean's just going to like try to grab onto Ben and try to pull him?
And Herb Dean's a big dude himself.
Yeah,
he's a big ass guy too. I think he fought at heavyweight.
Yeah,
a few fights. So
I think
that's
he
another
ended up with like a 2-2 record or something like that. I think.
Yeah. So I mean, these guys don't move like freaking ninjas. You got to give them a little bit of time to get from point A to point B. So yeah, I really thought that he did a decent job. It was a little awkward, but it got the job done.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say it was a good stoppage because just the whole optics of it, it did look awkward. It looked strange. And it did look almost a little unsure, but at the same time, no other damage was absorbed.
Yeah.
Like he did his job. He protected the fighter.
I say it looks like the last kind of couple stoppages where Herb Dean's been criticized, it just looks like it's a confidence kind of thing where it's like, all right, it like in this situation, stopping the fight here and then and there, not a bad thing. I thought that was a good stoppage. There was nothing wrong with that. Ben Rothwell is clearly rocked. He gets dropped against the cage. That's a great time to stop the fight right there. Stop him from absorbing more damage. He was going to lose that fight. It's very safe to say that. It just looked like Herb Dean was a bit indecisive with it. Whether he was actually able to stop it before Ben Rothwell shot.
That paired up with the Ben Rothwell takedown.
Exactly.
There was a little bit of
it was a bad timing thing all around, man.
Yeah.
Right.
He was still kind of judging it, I feel like, and then the Rothwell when he had made his decision, Rothwell was already, I think, shooting.
Yeah.
And so at that point, it was like he was kind of like stuck in the mud almost.
What are you going to do, man?
To gather himself.
What are you going to do? And I guess he could have stepped in a bit quicker after Rothwell got to a certain point after shooting for the takedown.
Yeah.
To break it up, but
yes,
it seems like Herb Dean's biggest problem is maybe he just needs to be a little more decisive there in the octagon, which of course is. Being decisive is it has the ability to save 5-10 shots from a fighter taking. Luckily in this situation, no fighter absorbed more damage than they needed to, but you do the criticism of Herb Dean is fair because you have to be decisive. You can't second guess yourself inside the cage because it's fighter safety that's on the line at that point. He has been known as the gold standard guy. I'm not sure if he is anymore. I think the top refs in the game are probably going to be either Mark Goddard or Dan Miragliotta. Two guys, true veterans, and two people that are fantastic at the job. And what's great, I mean,
Herzog, bro.
Well, dude, don't interrupt me because, and then you got almost younger guys who aren't as veteran as Miragliotta and Goddard coming up now. And Jason Herzog, a guy that is a veteran, Mike Beltran, a guy that's made himself more of a household name. I mean, maybe Dom Cruz is a little bit to blame for that, but no nonsense Keith Peterson. What's great is all these guys are good at their job. At least we have plenty of reps. It's nothing like what we saw at UFC 267. And it's not like Herb Dean is out here pulling like a Amari Yamasaki or a C. Mazzagatti. Okay, he's not that bad. he's not letting people go out on their shield. Is this thing to say. He's not throwing up stupid ass heart signs and then letting fighters get their asses whipped for no reason. Herb Dean could still be a good ref. He still is a good ref. It's just a few of these cases where he has to be a bit more decisive, and I really think that's that.
Yeah, I agree. I think he just needs to kind of look himself in the mirror and just really decide what is my thought process? Like, what's my decision-making process, and figure that out and trust your gut. Like, don't second guess. Don't doubt yourself when you're going to make the decision, stick with it. Cause I think a lot of times like that'll cover up a lot of mistakes. I feel like in their line of work, where if you just look decisive, people won't talk about it as much as if they can clearly see the look of almost like confusion on your face.
It's like the thing in sports. If you're going to make a mistake, make it 100 miles an hour. If you're going to make a bad stoppage and you're decisive about it, that's not as bad as not being decisive at all. I think that's
and then like leaving the fighters almost, because you saw DeLima literally like looking at her with his hand up. He's like, "What? Still doing this?
Yeah, right.
You want me to hit him?"
That was a mess. It looked worse than it actually was. So, But of course, I mean, Twitter, you got to overreact with everything, which is, fair enough. Follow my overreaction, especially when it comes to NFL, at Fourth Long Radio over on Twitter. There's my plug for that one. Then another guy who's at risk of losing his job is a guy that Dana White has said in the press conference at the UFC Vegas 42. He says that him, the UFC, and Paulo Costa and his camp are currently beefing. That's the exact word, beefing, with the whole weight cut light heavyweight thing. If you remember, throw it back to like a few cards ago, is that Paulo Costa weighed in 30 pounds over the 185-pound limit. They let that fight go on as planned at 200 pounds, or it was like 195, right? It is around that range, over the 185. No, it was like,
it was
what?
205.
Oh yeah, sorry. It ended up being a light heavyweight. I totally messed up with that one. And then after that, they said, yeah, Paulo Costa, we made this fight, and now he's just going to be stuck here and continue fighting at light heavyweight. Marvin Vettori can go do his thing at 185. Now, Paulo Costa was mad then, didn't want to do it. He's still mad. They're still not agreeing here. So, what's going to happen? What's going to ultimately happen at this situation? Should Paulo Costa be forced to stay at light heavyweight? And is he running the risk of possibly getting kicked to Bellator?
Yeah, I think he's definitely playing with fire here. I don't think the UFC needs Paulo Costa like at all. So there's already like
I agree.
Of players in middleweight. So, and that's kind of a division where there's been a lot of up and comers lately too.
And he already has chances against. He already had chance against Izzy anyway.
Luke Rockhold hasn't been fighting. He might come back at some point. Who knows? There's so many people that aren't even like necessarily like top fighters that are super interesting and intriguing.
Absolutely.
So, I mean, I think Paulo Costa needs to kind of do whatever he's being told, because he's not really in a position with a lot of leverage.
I'll even throw a Blonde Brunson into that conversation there for new contenders. Well, I guess technically not a new contender. Him and Izzy did fight, but new for the belt. Hasn't fought for the belt yet.
I don't think so. Yeah.
The UFC, yeah. No, I agree with you. The UFC doesn't need Paulo Costa. And personally, I don't even care about Paulo Costa. Like, even before he fought Izzy, he looked like he could be a contender, but mostly his record looked a little bit bloated. Besides Yoel Romero, who else?
I thought he was a really entertaining fighter. That's why I liked him. I wasn't like a huge fan.
I was trying to just a prick.
But yeah,
Izzy ruined him.
That's what he did. He would go in there and he would go guns blazing, balls to the wall, 100% of the time.
And there wasn't this whole pre-fight semantics either that we've been seeing.
And I think that has a lot to do with like the people he surrounds himself with too, because his coach is kind of, I don't know, he seems like a little
seems off.
Yeah, to say the least. It just seems like he's almost like enjoying the limelight more than the fighters do.
But between saying that he got wine drunk and that's why he lost to Izzy, and then pulling out of a fight because you got hair implants that apparently didn't work because he looked his bald spot was bad against Vettori, dude. That didn't look great. And so and now you're stuck here, man. If you're Costa, honestly, like you said, UFC doesn't even. It's either, honestly, it's probably going to be either he moves up to light heavyweight or the UFC cuts him. And I think there's a very strong possibility that Paulo Costa won't be on the roster for very much longer.
Yeah.
They don't even need him at light heavyweight.
I don't think he's at the position now where he's not even going to be able to main event for, until he puts on some really impressive performances. Mm-hmm. And not only that, but doesn't come with the, pre-fight antics and leaving his opponent kind of in limbo almost, not knowing which weight they're going to fight at. Do I cut weight? Right. Do I keep my weight on? Like, what's the deal? Because that's not fair to the other fighter.
No,
it's
not
fair to the promotion to have to answer all these stupid questions like again and again and again and again and again, Mm-hmm. So, yeah, he's kind of dug himself quite the hole that he's going to have to either figure out how to fill or just, head to another location.
Izzy definitely kind of started the beginning of the end and looked like the Marvin Vettori in that fight just kind of quite possibly put the nail in the coffin. Definitely an interesting situation. Let us know, do you guys even care if Paulo Costa fights in the UFC again? Do you care to see him fight at all? Is he worth the baggage that it looks like he's starting to come with now? Let us know, whether it be on the comments, 5-star review over on Apple Podcasts, or by hitting us up on our socials. Now, before we get into our UFC Vegas 43 preview, and then, of course, the wild Nene of the week, it's time for What the Blake with Blake. And this is going to be got a few ones here. Some stuff corresponding to some statements made from some contenders over the weekend. And also an interesting thing you kind of follow up with the women's talk that we had earlier on the show, especially in regards to that featherweight division. So, of course, you guys don't know how this works. It's a newer segment, and I do appreciate the ones I've reached, the fans that have reached out and said that they've really enjoyed this. I am super thrilled about that because, of course, I love doing stuff that makes you guys happy. But I have a few statements, and there's going to be a blank in any part of that statement, and Blake is going to have to fill in the blank. So the first statement I'm going to give you, Blake, is blank will be lightweight champion by the end of 2022.
Justin Gaethje.
Ooh, so you're buying into the Michael Chandler.
I'm buying to who? What?
Michael Chandler said that too.
Oh, he did?
Yeah, on the MMA Hour. I think on Tuesday. Yeah,
I didn't get to catch his interview.
Hey, even better, dude. Okay, he ran on the Justin Gaethje train. I love it.
Yeah, no, I just think he's going to be able to beat Dustin if he does get to face Dustin. If he gets to face Oliveira, I like him in that matchup as well.
Mm-hmm. Man, I would love to see the rematch with him and Poirier. After that Gaethje and Chandler fight, I was calling for that rematch, man, because no disrespect to Oliveira, because he's a very good fighter. I'm thrilled that he won that belt, even at the expense of one of my new favorite fighters. Because long time coming, definitely deserved it. But man, talk about a guy that actually that is the best lightweight in the world and just needs to essentially be, given the formality of a championship, is Dustin Poirier. And that rematch, it promotes itself, basically, dude. That Justin Gaethje, and especially Trevor Whitman, he's a completely different fighter since that Poirier fight. That's a fantastic call. Statement number 2 is that the best boxer in MMA is blank. What Dustin Poirier said, Piotr Jan a few weeks ago, Max Holloway most recently.
I'm gonna have to stay with Max Blessed Holloway.
Is it the significant strikes that do it for you?
Yeah, one of the many 3,000 strikes that have been thrown.
Landed. Not even thrown.
Landed. Right.
Yeah. All right, let's run up this real quick, because the best 3 that are being talked about is Petr Yan, Dustin Poirier, and Max Holloway. So rank those guys 1 to 3.
Probably go Holloway, Yan, Poirier.
I think that's good. How close is it between Yan and Holloway?
I mean, I think it's either or. You could,
Yeah.
I mean, just kind of what's your flavor, you know?
That's a great way to put that, man. Those guys it's just so much fun to watch them perform, man. And like, it turns into a kickboxing competition with them. And I don't complain. Definitely don't complain when you see those guys fight. Third statement is Kayla Harrison will be with blank for her next fight.
I mean, if she's smart, she'll be with PFL. Keep getting those $1 million paydays.
It's a good point, man.
I would never. If I was her, I would never leave that place.
She's almost guaranteed that check-in championship every year.
She's fighting the same 2 girls every year, it seems like. Like, dude, this is easy money. She's already got, 3 of those checks?
Yep.
Yeah, dude, keep stacking them. Damn, dude, just stack that for like 10 years, bro. You'll be good.
She'll probably still be able to win 10 years, too.
Saying, man, stack those $1 million. Unless someone is offering you more than that, why?
Is the Coke Man stock Coker.
And you're the biggest draw on that whole freaking, well, I mean, probably in PFL. Like,
her and Pettis, maybe. Pettis just off of name value, but in terms of known champions, it's Harrison.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's got to be her.
She's arguably the biggest, at least she's easily one of the most recognizable names in
she's the most
women's
dominant
MMA.
And, consistent champion that they've had and probably ever will have.
Mm-hmm. So it should be PFL. Where do you think she actually ends up signing?
I think PFL.
Oh, okay. I feel like not a lot of people are talking about the possibility of her returning. It feels like people just focus on Bellator or UFC.
I mean, they would have to cut a check, brother. They would have to cut a check.
It's worth it, though, to keep the biggest star in your promotion's history.
And Bellator, don't even get me started on that joke show. Like, get out of here with that trash. I just can't even get through a card, man. It's just bad. It's just bad.
I tried to not be a casual, man. I tried to watch MMA and not just UFC. PFL is fun. I do like that.
PFL is cool. I like PFL.
Hey, give me some more ref cam, okay? Bring that to the UFC.
I am not hating on PFL, bro.
I love the live
Bellator
strike counts too.
Second rate, dude.
Well, I tried watching that was a Pitbull and Alex, like that lightweight fight from a couple months ago.
Yeah, Patricio and AJ McKee.
Yeah, that's the one.
Is it AJ or is it Antonio? I can't remember.
McKee. It was from McKee. I tried watching that card. I'm sorry, man. It's just I might be spoiled. We might be spoiled with the UFC. I just don't enjoy watching Bellator top to bottom like I do the UFC, man.
It's not the same, man.
No.
You can tell there is a definite difference in talent levels from the especially like in the bottom, I don't want to say bottom, but like I don't know how else to call it, but like the guys that are of lesser name value, there's nothing to write home about with Bellator.
It was so weird, man. Like trying to watch that was just so weird. I've only tried to watch one card. I couldn't.
The announcers suck. The freaking ring.
And the Mara Ronaldo isn't
the announcer.
Yeah, in ring announcer.
He's trash.
And the Mara Ronaldo isn't half trash. bad. I do like him. The whole Mamma Mia kind of gets me going sometimes. I don't know. I thought he was funny, man. It might have just been because I was there in person. Even watching TV might have been more entertaining. But I genuinely, just from watching the fights, had a way better experience watching a regional fight card here in Idaho in Front Street Fights than I did watching Bellator. I could sit through Front Street Fights, man. I could sit through that 10-fight card with 5 amateurs and 5 professionals. I could sit through that way more than I could through a Bellator card where they're apparently all professionals.
It's rough.
It is what it is, man. But Blake, to fill it out, he said that Justin Gaethje will be lightweight champion by the end of 2022. The best boxer in MMA is Max Holloway, and Kayla Harrison will be signing with PFL for her next fight. But ladies and gentlemen, before, just UFC Vegas 43 and then the nay of the week. And let's take a look at this card before we get into Blake's bangers fully for this one, because I like to count. There's a couple ones I want to talk about that aren't showing up on his bangers. Of course, one thing going on right here is Lupita Godinez. You just got to shout her out because she is breaking the record for least amount of days for 3 fights. She's having her 3rd fight now within 43 days of each other. She had 2 fights just in a week, back-to-back cards. This woman is crazy. And, I mean, it really is just a super awesome thing to see. And then a guy, Naden Levy, making his UFC debut, just won on Dana White's Contender Series this season. And the what we should say, the main event of the prelims, Pat Sabatini and Tucker Lutz. I am looking forward to that one, Blake. But with that being said, time to drop the Blake's bangers on us, please. Who and what fights can we not miss this weekend?
Number 1, we're going to go with Terence McKinney versus Ferris Ziam, however you say that. You guys are lightweights, 155 pounders. Quite a size disparity between the two. Ferris coming in at 6'1", Terence McKinney a little shorter at 5'8". However, only a 1.5 inch reach advantage for Ferris. So I think this will be an interesting fight. If you remember, Terence McKinney has, I believe it's the fastest knockout in lightweight division history.
Arguably one of the most perfect 1-2 punches you could ever see. 1-2 combos, man. That thing was a thing of beauty.
Yeah, against Matt Frivola too, who's been around the block.
Who's no slouch. No slouch.
Yeah. So next banger we're gonna go to. This one's easy. I mean, I'm pretty sure anyone would be able to point this one out just by looking at the card top to bottom. Adrian Yanez versus Davey Grant.
Easy money.
Davey Grant in his last fight versus Marlon Vera. Very hotly contested. Vera ended up pulling out the dub, but it was just it was like a dog fight. It was just bloody mess everywhere. It was awesome. Adrian Yanez, I believe his most recent fight was against Randy Costa, if I'm not mistaken.
In a real fun Reese's versus Dr. Pepper. Dr. Pepper victorious.
And I mean, this guy's really just been on a freaking tear. He's got 3 KOs in a row, dating back to October of 2020. So, yeah, and if you have a Latino last name, you're getting put to sleep against this guy. Just saying. We got Rodriguez, Lopez, Costa. Yeah, you're all schlepped. So don't be fighting him with a Latino last name. Apparently,
Davey Grant, that's a white name, man. He has a chance in this one.
Upset alert. And then the last banger I have for this card is going to be Michael Chiesa versus Sean Brady.
Yep.
Welterweight division fight. 2 guys that are maybe not top contenders, but they're kind of vying for position to kind of stake their claim at the top.
Mm-hmm.
I think either guy, whoever wins, is going to be, knocking on the doorstep of the top 5 for sure. They're probably going to get a top 5 fight lined up after this, either guy. So another fight with a lot of implications.
2 guys are highly technical when it comes to grappling. Even if this turned to like a grappling affair, I think that's still a banger from what these guys can show.
Yeah, but I think they're also veteran enough to know that it's not going to be able to just be grappling. They're gonna be throwing it all out there.
I think it's gonna be a good combo of like different styles. And so, dude, Blake's bangers is gonna hit once again, that's for sure. And let's talk about the main event here. Of course, Miesha Tate made a return to the UFC a couple months ago. Ketlen Vieira, another one of those top contenders here in the division. I mean, Miesha Tate trying to get back to Amanda Nunes. How you see this fight going?
This is tough because Vieira, she's got the size advantage. She's got the reach advantage. Tate, she was out for a while. She came back, had, not the greatest comeback fight, but
good comeback fight, against Renault.
Okay.
Round 3 knockout isn't shabby, but her competition wasn't the best.
It wasn't great. So I think it kind of just depends on like how is Ketlen Vieira looking? Like, is she coming out and is she putting it on Tate? I think it's going to be an interesting fight to watch happen because this is really going to be a good barometer to see where is Tate right now. She's a little on the older side, 35 years old. Does she still have it in her? Is she going to be as hungry as she once was? How close does this put her to the title picture if she does win afterwards? Like that's a,
big question,
fair question. So I think for this fight though, I'm going to have to go with the ex-champ. I'm going to have to go with Tate just because.
That's definitely what the UFC wants at least.
That's, you could tell that this is kind of a setup because Vieira's lost her last fight against Yana, I want to say, right? Thiago Santos's wife?
Yeah. Just a last name that I can't pronounce.
Yes.
A fiance.
Fiance, that's right.
The one in between both of the ones you just put out there.
Well, we got it all covered.
You got close, man. You got close.
Yeah. What do you think? Who do you think's going to win?
And I guess I'm going to roll with Miesha Tate in this one just because I feel like the UFC matchmakers are doing their best to give a good fight for Tate and a good opponent, but still one that she could win and get her closer to the title picture because, come on, that's money. And so I'm going to ride with the one that the promotion wants to win. Of course, one of the last, top female fighters that the promotion really was wanting to win is Ronda Rousey. So we saw how that turned out. Was it Monday? Sunday. It was the anniversary of Ronda Rousey getting head kicked by Holly Holm. Yeah.
Right.
Dude, man, how time flies, but
2016.
Yeah, one of the craziest head kicks you'll ever see, and one of the most important head kicks, especially in the women's division. So we'll go with Tate. It's closer to a toss-up than I like.
2016 was a solid year, dude. That year got me heavily invested into
that was
UFC.
An unreal year for MMA. That's for damn sure.
2015 and 2016, man. Those are two really, really, really foundational years for my love of UFC.
What a time to be alive, man. What a time to be alive. And man, UFC Vegas 43, it's going to be a good card. Definitely looking forward to that one. And it's going to be a good weekend, man. It really is. But we're going to cap things off here with none other than how we cap off every show, and that's the Nene of the week. And I know I've been trying to build it up since the beginning of the show. I was trying to build it up to Blake. He doesn't know what it is. I found the story, and it's kind of crazy, and I hope that I can actually live up to your guys' expectation now, because this is probably one of the craziest awards for the Nene of the week. And the winner of the Nene of the week is going to be Risen Fighter Jake, I believe it's Hun or Hyun, because he got caught in a drug trafficking disaster where he had, let me pull this up so I can get the exact amount. In a bag that was labeled bath gel and cologne, border officers found, man, how much it was. 801 grams of meth.
Oh my god, dude.
801 grams of meth.
What the hell is this guy's deal, bro?
Yep. And they caught him because he was texting on WhatsApp with his girlfriend, I think, about this whole thing.
Oh my god.
Once again, that's 801 grams of meth.
Jesus.
Talk about a new performance-enhancing drug, man. Can we get that? Can we get a crack league going on? Just get the homeless guys, put a couple meth heads in there, duke it out. Don't we need a ref?
28.2544 ounces.
That's a lot of meth, man.
Of meth.
That's a lot of meth.
Christ.
That'll get you messed up.
How many pounds is that?
A little over pound and a half, right?
Yeah, 1.7659 pounds. Damn, almost 2 pounds. Almost 2 pounds of meth, my guy. What the hell are you doing?
What are you doing with all that meth?
Jesus, that's enough to freaking. Yeah, you could start a war with that, dude. That's not good. Oh
boy, yep. But I hope I didn't disappoint with that. Did exceed expectations or at least meet them? The whole 801 grams of meth?
Yeah, no, that was a solid story. I didn't know about that, so I appreciate you bringing that to light.
Is between that or that one MMA fighter that stabbed a doctor to death.
That's where I thought you were gonna go.
I went with a different one.
Yeah, because when you said like the MMA fighter from a different promotion or whatever, I was like, oh, I remember seeing that story today, but that didn't seem like the craziest.
Talk about a weird week, man. Talk about a weird week for these MMA fighters. But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed that one. And of course, I don't necessarily think it has to be said, but don't try to get into a country with 801 grams of meth.
Just stay away from meth.
Just don't.
It's not good.
Dude, not even Sean Strickland does meth, and look at him. He looks like he comes from a meth lab, man.
He just makes meth. He doesn't do meth.
Is breaking news? Sean Strickland is the supplier for Jake Hunt.
He said he would make meth, right? If he
was in the UFC.
Yeah.
So I think we found the supplier.
Better watch out, Sean. There might be some knocks on your door.
We on to you, Sean. It won't be. Hey, you're gonna get some knocks at 7 a.m. It's not gonna be USADA, okay?
No.
It's gonna be a different drug company.
It's gonna be the DEA.
Oh man, what a story! I think that's a fantastic place to cap things off for UFC Talk 65, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for tuning in today. Really appreciate all of you, especially if you're some of the newer listeners that would begin through Rumble, which of course, like I said at the beginning of the show, Rumble Video. Go ahead, check this out. Either it was at rumblevideo.com or download the Rumble Video app as well. You can check us out there. Follow, and then upvote our stuff is kind of what it is, and all that good stuff. Of course, if you're on Spotify and you're able to watch the video version, you're welcome, because I was able to apply and actually get that stuff. So hey, we're there now, especially if you don't like platforms like YouTube. But ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for tuning in. Blake, your thoughts on UFC Vegas 42 in one word or phrase?
Night. In the sense of knockout.
Yes.
Schlepped.
Yes. I assumed that's where you're going with that one. I'm glad I made the correct assumption there.
His foot was a balloon.
Oh, that one was also. Oh, that was also really gross. That wasn't.
The McGregor quote: "My foot was a balloon."
Oh yeah, and just one other story.
Yair's foot was a freaking balloon, Connor. That's a balloon.
I
don't know how he was standing on that, dude. It was probably. I mean, I guess the brace probably helped a little bit, maybe.
Yeah, but I just saw that picture of him and Max in the ambulance. How
did he get the brace off? They must have had to cut it off.
Oh yeah, that's a good point.
They
probably That thing was just ridiculous. And before I cap things off, of course, a huge shout out to our Patreon supporters. Of course, you can help fund the show, become a Patreon member over at patreon.com/4thandlong. Continue to help us upgrade the show, upgrade the quality, and still on the road to getting Blake his first paycheck here. But like I said, if we're just starting at $1 a month, you get a bunch of bonus content. It goes to 5, 10 plus from there. Like I said, patreon.com/4thandlong. Shout out to our patrons for all your card collecting needs. Go on over to Instagram and follow at the Big Bat Box. Shout out to Ray Rodriguez. Shout out to Ryan Watson and Neil Wiley. Ladies and gentlemen, like I said, thank you so much for tuning in. None of this would be possible if it wasn't for all of you. You give us someone to talk to instead of me instead of Blake and I just kind of talking to ourselves, or me talking to myself. I do that anyways if the camera's off. But ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for tuning in. We will see all of you after UFC Vegas 43 and at UFC Talk 66. 4-way, Blake. 4-way, we're almost there.
We got this.